Hey guys, this is Comic Uno and Comic Frontline, and today I'm doing Comic Uno episode 123. And this is a show where I review all the comics I read this week in one show, so let's get started. I only have 20 books, which is, I guess, an average amount these days. So let's get started. Worst pick of the week, number 20, and this is a surprising one, and that is All New, All Different Avengers, issue 2. I thought this was very much just an action issue. I wanted more character interaction, and we didn't really get much of it. We got to see a little bit of Sam and Miss Marvel in this issue, but mostly it's just like, all right, let's go fight this creature. Cool, the team is together. And I kind of wanted a little bit more from this issue. Artwork is pretty good throughout. There are some pages that felt like that could have used a little bit of detail. So even here, like the creature that's dying there, I thought could have used a little bit more detail. So the artwork is pretty good, but there's great pages like this page with Thor's entrance. I thought that was a pretty good page. But yeah, overall, like I said, it's more of an issue that it's an establishing issue. Hey, we need to get these people together. I just thought they could have done a little bit more with this issue, and made the plot a little bit more interesting also. So All New, All Different Avengers issue 2 gets 2.5 stars, and that's my number 20. All right, so moving on to number 19, which is The Vision, issue 2. This issue 1 was a lot higher than issue 2. My worry that I had with issue 1 kind of happened here. My worry was, if you didn't watch my Comic Uno episode for that episode, is that I felt that Vision was a good start, is definitely interesting, but the thing I liked about it was this kind of robotic personality, in that it was different, but it was also my fear. And you kind of get it here that it's hard to connect to these characters because they're not human, or not saying that they're not human, but they don't have human emotions. So it's a bit hard. They're very cold characters, so it's a bit harder to connect to them for me personally, and to kind of understand their motives a bit. But I do like the narrative of, like, something is happening in the future, and this is them retelling their past, and I like that idea. And them trying to be, not trying to be human, but trying to interact with humans, so that's kind of fun. Artwork is a bit on the simple side, but I think it fits kind of the simplicity of where the series is going. That's supposed to be this kind of suburb style book. But yeah, still, I'm a little worried about where it's going to go with these characters' personalities, because they don't really have it. They don't really have those feelings, those emotions. But I'll give it another issue or two to kind of see where it goes. So The Vision issue 2 gets 3 stars, and that's number 19. Moving on to number 18, which is a series I'm a little surprised is so low also, and that's Prez issue 6. Now, I've been really enjoying Prez, and this is, I guess, part 1 is over, and they're going to have part 2 coming up in 2016. They said that in the end. So this is the end of part 1, and part 2 will be continued at some point. I don't know when. It hasn't been on the solicits, so sometime in 2016. Hopefully it's not too long. But with this issue, it's dealing a little bit more about the cat flu. It actually plays with something that's been going on in recent years that's been kind of this ethical thing going on, is that because there's this Supreme Court case, Mirrored, where it doesn't say this here, I know this, but there's this Supreme Court case where this company, this science company that does research, they found a DNA sequence that better helps find breast cancer. So they tried to patent that DNA because it was technically theirs. They're the one who discovered it. So now there's been this big this controversy of who owns DNA, who doesn't, and what type of DNA do people own, what do people have the right to research. So they play with that a lot in this issue of Prez, where it's like, who has the right to cure cat flu, and it's not thinking about society and more thinking about, like, the selfishness of, like, well, I'm a business, I want money, so give me $10 million or $10 trillion and I will cure this cat flu that really America needs to be cured. So, and we're seeing that our main character, Beth, is trying to figure out a way, is like, I don't know what to do in this situation, and she's trying to figure out a way to help America, but that's also making her look like the bad guy. So those are definitely the interesting parts. The reason it's a bit lower is because I thought the dialogue is very heavy, and also I wanted to see more of Beth in a way. Like, there's definitely a lot of plot stuff going on, but not a lot of character stuff. What I really like about Prez is that it's Beth trying to be kind of this real president, trying to be the best president she can be. And by not, like, stabbing people in the back and, like, doing this politics fake stuff. She's trying to be really real. And that's what I like about the character. But you don't really get to see much of Beth as much in this issue, like, being herself. So I was a little disappointed with that. But it's still a good issue. It just wasn't as good as, I think, other issues. And it's kind of a shame this is the point they're ending it at. It definitely feels like, alright, well, we're going to read more next month. But we're not. It's going to be a little bit of a longer wait period for part 2. So that's why I gave this a bit of a lower grade than Prez usually is. But Prez issue 6 gets 3 stars, and that is number 18. Moving on to number 17, which is Daredevil issue 1. Now, I picked up this book because I really liked Mark Waid's run on Daredevil. It was actually the first Daredevil book I really picked up. I picked up some of Shadowland, but dropped it. And I never really read Daredevil before that. I was never really interested in the character because he was so dark. So I really liked Waid's run because it had a lot to do with the supporting characters. It had this lighter tone to it. And it developed the character a lot. He changed a lot throughout Waid's run. So now with Soule's run, he kind of presses the reboot button a lot in this story. It reboots back to like Miller's run on Daredevil, where it's really dark. It reboots to the fact of where the TV show is at now. It's very much like the TV show, where Foggy is, not having the best relationship with Daredevil, and he's the only one that knows that he is Daredevil. Kristen's not even in this book, which is really disappointing because I really like the Kristen McDuffie and Daredevil relationship in the Waid run. You don't even get that relationship at all in this issue. And I don't even know if, Soule would acknowledge that she exists as a character. I think she's just kind of written off. And then we have this new kind of partner that might be bad, and we learned a little bit more of him in the Point One book, but you don't really know him in this book. You don't even know his abilities. He's just kind of the partner of Daredevil, and that's all we kind of know about him. Maybe they're keeping that a mystery, but I feel like you had to read that Point One issue from Marvel, which was kind of this random Point One issue, to understand what was going on with this issue. But yeah, I was kind of upset that they pressed the reboot button. I was like, I understand it. Like, I completely understand why Soule would want to do that. Again, to go in a different direction, especially after the Waid run, which did so well. You really do want to kind of separate yourself. So I completely understand the move, but I wanted a little bit from Waid's run, because that's what I started with. So as someone that liked Waid's run a lot, it was a little harder for me to connect to this, because it's very dark and kind of a lot like the TV show. And I think that's the direction they were going with it. But something I did like was the neo-noir look of the book. Really liked the colors. Even though I think the artwork itself was a bit on the plain side, I really liked the coloring for this book, and that really impressed me throughout. So I'll continue to pick it up to see where it goes, but it didn't completely impress me as much as I wanted it to. So Daredevil issue 1 gets 3 stars. So I think that we're up to number 16, I think. Let's see. We are up to number 16, which is Plutona, issue 3, which is an Image book written by Jeff Lemire. And I thought this book was pretty good. It wasn't as good as the first issue, though. It's seeing that these, the kids kind of misplaced Plutona's body, and we find out the geeky kid and also the brother of, I guess, our main character, who's the girl who wants to be edgy, they actually take away the body, and they're going to try to get superpowers themselves. So I like that cliffhanger, but to lead into a cliffhanger, this issue is a bit slower. But it was cool to kind of see more of the character interactions. I'm still not loving the artwork. It's okay artwork, I guess, if it's the style of the book. But yeah, overall, I thought this was an okay issue. And we'll see where it goes. I don't know if this is ongoing or a mini-series. But yeah, Plutona issue 3 gets 3 stars. And that's number 16. So moving on to number 15, which is Batman and Robin, Eternal, issue 9. So this book, I've been saying this, I like the book, but I think it's kind of this slower pace because it's a weekly series, and you continue to see that here. It's mostly focusing on Red Robin and Jason Todd, and by the end they become like these monsters in the end. Oh no, actually, they didn't become monsters here. I think it was the beginning where I saw the monster image. I feel like I saw a monster image. Anyways, maybe I didn't. I don't know why I was thinking that. But we see in the end that Azrael, kind of this more of this god-like type character, he's going to be fighting Red Robin and Red Hood in the end of the issue. So yeah, it's kind of leading up throughout the issue to that point. And then you get a little bit of Dick Grayson and Harper, you know, learning a little bit about Harper's past and seeing that relationship, I guess, grow a bit and trying to deal with what they want to do with Cassandra and how to find her. And that's what's going on with the issue. So I thought this was an okay issue. Again, the pacing is still a bit slow. I do like the points with Dick Grayson and Harper Row, but that's such a small part of the issue. I wasn't as entertained with the Red Robin and Red Hood stuff. I just feel like it's more of this like secondary story that doesn't really connect too much with the mother story. So I don't know. I didn't really like that part as much, but I thought the artwork was really solid. I definitely like the art. That's something I feel like that's been very consistent with Batman and Robin Eternal. So overall, I give this 3 stars. I thought it was an okay issue, but I do think the pacing could be a little bit better for this series. Alright, moving on to number 14, which is All New Inhumans, issue 1. I will say that, like, as a little disclaimer, is that I can never get into Inhumans for some reason. Like, I've always wanted to, because obviously they're becoming a big part of the Marvel Universe, but never can get into it. But I think with this Inhumans book, it's the most I've gotten into Inhumans, because I like Crystal's character, and this issue is very much about introducing who these characters are, the point that the Inhumans are at. They're kind of their own nation and dealing with other nations and the UN, figuring out what relationship they have with them, and also the situation with the mutants, that they're being affected by the Terrigen Mist, so they're dealing with that, and I like the characters for the most part. I think that's what really interested me with the story. I really like Crystal so far. I think she's a cool character. I really like her abilities. But the weaker part here is, I guess, my interest in the Inhuman plot in general. Like, I don't really care about Medusa and all that stuff. So that's why I still didn't make me like, oh my god, I love the Inhumans, which I wish an issue 1 would do. I want to have that amazing issue 1. I'm like, whoa, finally, I kind of understand why I should like the Inhumans. Because I haven't had that issue yet, besides with Miss Marvel, but I feel like that's kind of her own thing. And that's not as connected to the royal family. So I want to feel more connected to them, and I don't yet, but at least with this issue, I want to continue with Inhumans and see where it goes. So I gave Inhumans, All New Inhumans issue 1, 3.5 stars. Moving on to number 13, which is Extraordinary X-Men issue 3. Still, you know, hasn't blown my mind, but I keep giving it the same grade because I feel like it's still this kind of middle ground book that has a lot of potential. Like, I really do like the character interaction. And here, the stronger part was definitely Jean and Wolverine, or Logan. Not really Wolverine anymore. But Jean and Logan, they have this discussion of not really knowing what place they're at because, you know, Jean should be dead. Logan technically should be dead. And they're from different parts of the land. You see, Jean is from the past and Logan's from the future. And Logan fears that he's going to kill the X-Men because that's what he's done in his past. And Jean's like, no, I'll protect you. You know, I'll see if you get over that edge, and I will stop you if that point comes. So now it seems like they're going to be joining the X-Men, and the X-Men are finally all together. I thought the weaker part, honestly, was the Storm part. It's them just fighting these monsters, pretty much. It's more of this action part, but also I feel like it's more of seeing exactly the point where the X-Men's at. They're not the strongest right now, and they really do need the whole team to fight off these hell monsters. So it's more of, again, more setup than anything, but I did like the Jean and Wolverine, or Old Man Logan stuff here, and I'll give this issue 3.5 stars. Still hasn't blown my mind as much as I wanted to, but the artwork is solid. I like Ramos's art, and I think this book definitely has potential. Alright, so what are we up to now? We are up to number 12, which is Star Wars, issue 13, and I was super excited to read this issue because, I mean, this cover, Leia and Darth Vader face to face. So I thought this whole issue was kind of going to be about them, but I guess the disappointment of this issue is that we don't get to see them actually face to face until the last page. I'm like, oh, alright, I wanted them, but okay, I can wait until next issue. I think it's like the end of December we're going to get that. And I guess it makes more sense to be in the Darth Vader book, but obviously it's not going to be them. It's like, you're my daughter, which I want so bad, but it's not going to happen, obviously, because it's in between episode 4 and episode 5, but it's going to still be cool to see father and daughter face to face and fighting each other, and Leia being badass. So I'm excited for that. But yeah, the rest of the issue was really good too, where we get to see this aftermath of, you know, Darth Vader's partner, I guess, we see that she's trying to get Luke back to Darth Vader without killing him, and then Han Solo and R2-D2 are trying to, and also Chewbacca is trying to save Luke, and it's kind of this fun, really action moment. And so far, actually, I think this is the best issue of Vader Down. Really liked it, again, the Han Solo rescue for Luke. Love the ending with Leia, and the artwork is still a bit dark. I don't know if I love the coloring. It's very red, so I don't know if I like that. And I mean, it's understandable that it's red, but still don't love the coloring. It's a bit dark in my opinion, but I do think this is so far the best of Vader Down that I've read, and I'm super excited to read the next issue because, again, Leia and Darth Vader. So I am going to give this 3.5 stars. And that was number 12. So moving on to number 11, which is Nova, issue 2. And Nova's kind of been this middle ground book since issue 1. I like that Nova's father is back, and we're kind of learning a little bit more of the mystery here. But this is definitely more of a fun issue, I would say. It's Sam kind of wanting this normal life for himself, but at the same time trying to balance his life as a hero with his father. And by the end of the issue, we see that maybe this isn't Sam's father, because he has this like kind of weird face in the end. So it might not even be him. He's been pretending to be him this whole entire time, and then he loses his father by the end. So right when he gains him, he loses him. So that's going to be interesting to explore as the series continues. But yeah, this issue was fun, and I like that ending part, but I wanted more with it. I was like, oh, alright, I guess it's a good cliffhanger, but I want more. And the artwork I'm still kind of getting used to. I do think it's like, it's good when they are Nova, but for some reason their faces look a little weird. Like just the style of artwork I'm not in love with when they're in their civvies, but still, you know, it's still good artwork. It's just, I've seen better for Nova and for Sam Alexander. But I do like when he's actually Nova. I think it fits well for that. But yeah, overall, I thought this was a pretty good issue. I like where the father-son relationship is going and that story, but you get that towards the end. So Nova issue 2 gets 3.5 stars. Moving on to number 10, which is All New X-Men, issue 1. This is a bit higher than Extraordinary X-Men, but still the same grade. I thought this was actually a little bit of a better setup than Extraordinary X-Men. I think they kind of know where they're going with their plot a little bit more. Again, is this a book that blew my mind? No, but I thought this was a good setup. We get to see where Wolverine and Angel's at. We see where Beast and Iceman are at. And then, of course, I think the more important part of the issue was Cyclops, because we get to see the Cyclops cult being created, and they don't even know that they're going against the younger version of Cyclops. And then we see the team kind of formed by the end of the issue. So yeah, is it kind of this generic, hey, let's get the team formed again? Yeah, but I thought they introduced the plot very well. I like Bagley's artwork, and I like the Rouster. So there are some really good parts. I thought the Cyclops part was a bit better. Seeing like meeting this girl, and of course her being against mutants, because everything that's going on with the Cyclops cult. And then it was cool to kind of see Iceman, though. He was getting used to his life, and people really liked him in Austin, Texas, and didn't care that he was a mutant. So that was kind of cool. And I'm still really enjoying the Wolverine and Angel relationship. I think that's been one of the best relationships of the year so far. So excited to see where that goes, both in the Wolverine series and in All New X-Men. I think they balance each other really well. So All New X-Men issue 1 was a pretty good start to the series, and I like the direction of where the plot's going. So All New X-Men issue 1 gets 3.5 stars. I think we're up to number 9 now. We are. Number 9 is We Can Never Go Home, issue 5. This is a bit lower than I expected, because I love this series, but I was a little disappointed with the ending. I thought they were trying to do a lot here. It's this kind of this group, this gang, captures Maddie and our other character, and it's about Maddie running away and kind of seeing their love, and seeing that other character. I'm trying to find out his name. Maddie and Duncan. Duncan, he lied that he had powers, and I think we all knew that was happening. Either he was evil, or he wasn't, or he was lying because he wanted to be with the cool girl and relate to her, but she finds out, and she's angry at him. Obviously, she doesn't want him to die, but she's able to escape because of Duncan, and she comes back to save Duncan, teaming up with the FBI. Duncan kills one of the FBI agents. So now Maddie's kind of stuck and she has to run away again. And we see like a couple of months later that everyone knows that Maddie's on the run and people are looking for her. And she changes her hairstyle and she, says hi to Duncan one more time and she's like, bye. It's like, no, I want to help you. And she gives him money. So no, I have to keep running. And I love that. So really, yes, you think that the whole book is going to be about Duncan and Maddie, but truly, Duncan was just kind of this part of this arc, I feel. And it's going to be more exploring Maddie and how much she just changed in these 5 issues of this girl, this popular girl who is just kind of always trying to be normal, and now she realizes she's not, and she's always going to have to be on the run. And I'm curious to see where the series is going to go, because it is going to continue in 2016. I don't know if it's going to be a mini-series or ongoing. Hopefully it's an ongoing, because I do love this series, and I'm curious to see where it's going to go, It's always going to be about running away, and at first when I read it, I'm like, I want her to be safe. But really, the book is called We Can Never Go Home. So it's not going to be her ever being safe. And it has that same vibe of the Runaways, if you've ever read that series. The original Runaways. It's beautiful. It's one of Marvel's best books ever, in my opinion. But anyways, yeah, it reminds me a lot of that, and I really like Maddie's character to see where she's gone. Again, there is a lot that's happening in this issue, and that's why it didn't get higher. I felt like there's a little bit too much going on, and I didn't really care about the actual gang, and they were just kind of used as a plot device to keep them there and kind of learn their truths. But again, really excited to see where it goes, and I gave We Can Never Go Home 3.5 stars. It was close to 4 stars, but I think they could have utilized their time a little bit more with the last issue. So yeah, 3.5, and that's number 9. So moving on to number 8, which is Robin War. I think this is number 8. Yeah, number 8. Robin War issue 1. I was pleasantly surprised with this book. I thought it had a pretty good structure, a pretty good beginning, where we get to see one of these Robins kind of commits a crime. He kills these people by accident. So now there's this law of that there can't be Robins anymore, which is kind of convoluted because the reason that they don't want Robins is because they're young heroes. So shouldn't they just make a law of like no young heroes? Because they could just change their name to whatever, they could change their name to something else. So I guess it's kind of more of the principle of it. It's like, no, we want Robin as our name, Batman. So yeah, that part you kind of have to overthink. But yeah, so for most of the issues dealing with the law and seeing some of these Robins get arrested, and that the Court of Owls is involved in all this and has their hand in the government, and it's going to be very connected to that. And then we see the other Robins like Damian and Tim and Jason and Dick, so they're going to be part of this arc too. And again, I thought it was a very solid issue. I guess my only problem with it is it's a bit lengthy for its own sake. Like, there are parts that gets a little boring. I'm like, alright, we get it. We get it. Maybe because I'm not reading We Are Robin, so I don't have a connection to those characters as much. Maybe that's why. But I thought it was a little bit longer than it had to be. But I am excited for the arc, and that's what this issue is supposed to do. It's supposed to get you excited to read the other issues of We Are Robin, which next one's Grayson. I already pick up that series, so I will be reading the next issue to see where it goes. And I thought this was actually a really solid beginning. It surprised me because I wasn't expecting to like this, and I actually did. So Robin War issue 1 gets 4 stars. Moving on to number 7, which is Rowans Ruins issue 3, which is from Boom Studios, which this has been a surprise series for me. If you like kind of horror books, it's a really well done horror book about this girl who trades houses with this girl from Britain, and she sees ghosts. So she's starting to see ghosts, and people don't really believe her about it. And I guess her whole life she's kind of been trying to escape that. She doesn't really want to confront it. And here she wants to learn more about Emily and what's happened to her and what happened in this house. So she's like, all right, I'm going to talk to these ghosts. And there's a really fun scene in the beginning where she's talking to these ghosts and being all nonchalant about it. And for the rest of the issue, she's trying to figure out the mystery of, like, maybe it's not about the ghost. Maybe it's about the house. It's like, no, it's not about the house. Maybe it's about the ghost. And it keeps going back and forth. And then you actually find out it's about Emily. And Emily, because we have our main character message Emily saying, all right, I'm sleeping in your bed because, hey, I know you told me to stay out of it, but I need to figure out what happened here. And then we see Emily knock down our main character. So maybe this whole time, our main character has been trying to figure out why Emily's the victim. but maybe Emily was never the victim. So it's a cool twist. The artwork's a bit on the darker side than I like, but I think it fits the story, and I've been having a fun time with it. So Rowans Ruins, issue 3 gets 4 stars, and I think the next issue is actually the last for this miniseries, and I've had fun with it. If you like horror books, I think you'll like it. Moving on to number 6, which is, this is so close to making my top 5. I really like this book, and that was Spidey issue 1. I was pleasantly surprised with this, because I didn't really know what to expect with Spidey. I felt like it was kind of this unnecessary book. I was like, alright, how many times have we seen high school Peter Parker? Is it going to be a kiddie book? I just didn't know where it was going to go. And then I read it, and I'm like, this is so much fun. It's a modern Spider-Man. And it wasn't kiddie. It was very much like any other Marvel title. And we're seeing, you know, Spider-Man's not so much the Amazing Spider-Man yet, and I love this panel where he just explains, like, you know what, I'm just going to call myself Spidey for now, because that's who I am. So it's explaining the namesake a bit. And then we see his high school experience a bit, and we, you know, see Flash, we see Gwen, which was great. Gwen and Peter are going to help tutor each other. Gwen's going to tutor Peter in history, and Peter's going to tutor her in bio. And then they go to Oscorp, and I'm like, wait, deja vu, why is he here? He already got the spider bite. And we see that Dr. Octopus tries to attack the center, and Spider-Man has to save his classmates. And then we also get the illusion of, hey, you know, Norman Osborn is Green Goblin. I had a lot of fun with this, honestly. It was classic Spider-Man, and honestly felt really like Spider-Girl in a lot of ways, because Spider-Girl is playing with the high school tropes of Spider-Man with, obviously, Mayday, and, I mean, she's in high school, so you're dealing with a lot of that. So it reminded me a lot of that story structure. And it was cool that it was more of a confident Spider-Man. It's like a year later, I would say, after he got his powers. So it's not really an origin story, but it's like a year 1 of Spider-Man. And I had fun with it. And usually I don't really like Bradshaw's artwork, but I really liked his style here. I thought it fit this story more than it did for the X-Men titles he's worked on in the past. But yeah, this was fun. It was great to see Gwen. It was great to see Flash. I really liked the ending with Green Goblin, and I hope it continues to be this kind of fun book to read for Spider-Man fans. So Spidey issue 1 was a pleasant surprise, and I gave this 4 stars, and that was number 6. Moving on to number 5, which was Invincible Iron Man issue 4. Now this is another book I expected to be a bit higher, but still awesome book, and especially for the artwork. I mean, the artwork is just gorgeous for this book. Look at the waves there, just the ocean, and then we have a really cool page with Mary Jane in the end. Here, I mean, I could just go through every page and talk about how amazing it is, but how invincible it is. That was a horrible pun. Anyways, so going on with this issue, it's a bit of a slower issue. We learn a little bit about these ninjas on a beach and who they're connected to. Dr. Doom has a little part in this issue. Iron Man's still trying to figure out if he's a villain or not. And then in the end, we see that Dr. Doom and Iron Man has crashed Jackpot, which is Mary Jane's new club in Chicago. And she's making this whole speech about, like, oh yeah, Chicago's awesome, there's no villains, there's no heroes, not like New York. Villain and hero pops into her club in the first night. So I think Mary Jane's going to notice, I don't think I'm up to being in the club business, and she will join Stark Industries. So that's kind of the negative, though, is that they kind of promoted this, that Mary Jane was totally going to be in this issue, which is only like 2 pages. But I think we all expected that. She'll be in, I mean, comics do that all the time. She'll just be in the next issue, you know, a bit more, which I guess is going to come out 2 weeks from now. I don't know how long how long they're double shipping this book. Hopefully it's a little while, because I want to see Mary Jane a bit sooner than later. But this is fun, you know, especially the Children's Hospital scene was great. Actually, that's based on, the kid who was in the Iron Man suit was actually based on a real child, which was very cool that Brian Michael Bendis did that. I don't know the full story about it, but I saw an article on that. But yeah, it was good. I thought it progressed the story enough. There could have been some more plot progression, but it was a fun issue. I mean, seeing Mary Jane, Iron Man, Tony just being Tony, written by Bendis. It's been just such a joy to read this. So Invincible Iron Man issue 4 gets 4 stars. That's number 5. Moving on to number 4, which is another title I was pleasantly surprised with, which I just didn't know what to expect. And that was Totally Awesome Hulk, issue 1. I mean, I just picked this up in random. I read the title of the book. I'm like, alright, what are we going to get here? I've never been a big Amadeus Cho fan either. So I didn't really know what to expect with this, but Amadeus Cho was so much fun as Hulk, and to see that when he becomes Hulk, he becomes more flirtatious and kind of this like cocky guy, and then the supporting character is his sister, and who has to watch all this, and she's a lot of fun. And then we even see Cho interact with other Hulks like She-Hulk, and there's this hilarious scene where they team up and they're fighting together, and then Spider-Man's in the scene, and he just, like, does a love tap to the guy. And he says, and stay down. That's such an awesome scene. So there's just, like, a ton of fun scenes throughout this issue. And then this gorgeous artwork. I love the art. It's something that really attached me to the book. And attracted me to it. And yeah, it was just a great issue. I had a lot of fun with this, and hopefully it continues to be this totally awesome. So Totally Awesome Hulk issue 1 gets 4 stars, and this, I was pleasantly surprised by it. Again, a book I just kind of randomly got. I was happy I got it. Alright, so moving on to number 3, which is Paper Girls issue 3. What I love about this book is that it's so mysterious that you don't know if it's about religion or about time travel or about both, because you get this idea that they're still talking about like the Apple product and like this kind of this rebellion against young people and older people about technology. Like, I like that, but then you get this religious undertone because throughout the issue we find out the person who got shot is actually our main character. It wasn't the mom, it was our main character who got shot, and they gotta bring her to a hospital. So one of the 12-year-old girls is like, I'll drive, let's go. And she's driving her mom's car as a 12-year-old girl. And, you know, the other girl's dying, so here goes to the religious subplot, where she actually sees JFK, interestingly enough. And he says that not everyone dies with a bullet wound. Now, what's interesting about this is, you know, going back to, like, this Catholic and Catholicism that's been spread out through the issue, is that JFK was the first Catholic president. So to add him into this, I thought that was very interesting. It add more of the past to, you know, then the 1980s, and now 2015 you're adding too with the Apple products. What I love about this book is I have no idea where it's going, but it's given me just enough to kind of guess. So Paper Girls was awesome. There's some great scenes throughout, and I'm just really curious to see where this goes. So Paper Girls issue 3 gets 4 stars. I'm really liking this series a lot. Alright, moving on to number 2, which is Sunflower issue 2. Sorry about the folded up paper. But yeah, Sunflower is from 451 Media Group, and I think I have the cover. Well, I have the cover with me, but it's okay. But I was going to show it. But anyway, so Sunflower issue 2. I loved issue 1. It was actually my pick of the week when it came out that week, and I've never really picked up anything from 451 Group. I picked up 6 last week, just because I really liked Sunflower. But what I really liked about this book is this journey of the mother trying to find her daughter, and then she finds this girl in this diner where she's like, oh, I know where the guy is. If you want to know where your daughter is, I could find her. He's like, alright, but don't expect that she's any different. She's probably not going to leave the guy. Like, I want to find my daughter. So it's this journey of trying to find the daughter. She even goes to one of the old sheriffs, and the old sheriff shoots himself. And I was like, whoa, that was a huge scene, and a surprising scene. And by the end, she's getting closer to finding her daughter, but she has to go to this ghost town where she has to drink some, you know, weird drink to find this guy. So, yeah, it has a lot going on in the issue, and what I liked about it is that I think the girl, where you see this, you know, this damaged girl, she has all these cuts and scars on her, all these tattoos, and I think that's the daughter. I do think it's the daughter. It'd be kind of random if it's not, and I think that's going to be the fun part of this issue, seeing that journey and how much she's changed, and how much the mother has changed also. And the artwork's gorgeous for the book, too. It's great. Now, the reason it didn't get higher than 4 stars, and why it didn't get number 1, is that I felt the ending didn't really feel like a cliffhanger. It kind of just felt abrupt. And I think because I saw in the beginning, it says this is an adaptation of something. So my guess is either like a screenplay or a book. And you could tell that it was like, all right, we kind of just have to end it here because this is our page number. So I thought the ending felt a little weird. But other than that, this is a great book. And I'm really, really curious to see where it goes. All right, so that's number 2. Moving on to number 1. Pick of the week is Revival, issue 35. I love this book. You guys know that. And here we continue to learn a little bit more about the mystery. So we see Dana's story where she's wearing the hoodie and she's trying to get the soul to go into her and try and learn more about the soul. And then the other part of M's story is that she's broken out of the camp because the guy wants to chop off her head. And it's like, well, I can't kill you, but I can still separate your body and bury your head somewhere. So that's happening. And then Dana comes to the rescue and shoots one of the guards who's gonna also kill M. And now they have to run away with each other. And the news knows that these two are kind of these fugitives at this point. And even Dana changes her hair, which is going to be kind of weird to see, I think, throughout. But obviously you have to do it if you're going to be fugitives. And now you're seeing the sisters together. And Dana's, because M says, oh, what are you going to do? You have your job, you have Cooper, like, you can't run away with me. And just like, well, you're my sister, I kind of have to. You know, I got to protect our family. And, you know, you get to that, you know, the prime, the biggest theme of this book, which is family, which is these two sisters. And we finally get to the end of that. The artwork's gorgeous, as always. And I like that we're digging, and I dropped the book, I like that we're digging into the mythology a bit more, and discovering a little bit more about Revivers. And I think Dana has pretty much an idea how this kind of came about, because now we learn that M's killer is actually the people that created Revivers. Now, we don't know who that person is, but that's going to be the rest of the journey, is finding out who killed M, which was the prime mystery in the I guess the first arc of Revival in this whole book, where I feel like throughout the book it's kind of, you know, curved and gone to different ways. Now we're finally going into what started this series, which makes me excited. So yeah, the mystery was great. Again, the chemistry between the sisters are great, and to see them together again was a great part of the issue. So I love this issue. 4.5 stars. This is my pick of the week. I thought it was a really well done issue, and it makes me really excited to see the last year Revival, which is 2016. A little upset that it's ending, but I think it's definitely going to end on a strong note from what I'm seeing with this latest arc of Revival. So hope you guys enjoyed. This is Comic Uno. Let me know in the comments below what was your pick of the week and your worst pick of the week and everything in between. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. Don't forget to like my Facebook page. Also, description below, there's links from my comic book, Like Father, Like Daughter. And don't forget to like the Facebook page of Like Father, Like Daughter. I'll see you guys later.